Okay, we're here today with Chris Attwood. So, welcome.
Thank you. So great to be here, Vivian.
So happy to have you. I'm going to do a little bit of an introduction as to who you are. Chris Attwood, he's one of the leading transformational figures in the world. He has created some of the major strategic alliances in the transformational industry, and he had a key role in arranging a lot of the interviews for the very famous book and movie The Secret in 2006. He is a founding member of the Transformational Leadership Council created by Jack Canfield, and he has built the global brand The Passion Test in 65 countries together with his ex-wife Janet Attwood. Both Chris and Janet are New York Times bestselling authors with books such as The Passion Test and Your Hidden Riches, and they provide a one-year mastermind program where they teach their secrets. So right now, he is launching the brand new book, The Door to Inner Happiness: Secrets from Around the World for When Everything's Going Wrong. And I am also a contributing author in this book, together with
A
other writers
very, a
from around.
very, a very great contributing author of that
Thank you.
book.
So, we'd like to talk a little bit about this book.
Great.
Why did we decide to publish this book about secrets from around the world for when everything's going wrong?
Well, it's interesting, Vivian, because I think as the stories came together from the different authors who've contributed to the book, it was clear that all of us have gone through tough times. All of us have gone through times where we struggled, which were difficult, where we questioned ourselves, where we weren't sure how we were going to go forward, where we didn't know what's the next step to take. And that was a common theme in all of these stories. And then every one of these authors had a way of coming out of that. They had a method, a process, an approach that worked for them to be able to come out of that. And I'm excited about this book because it's coming out now. We hadn't exactly planned it this way, but when so many people are suffering because of the lockdowns and the pandemic and the limitations, and so many people are out of work, and there's probably more people going through tough times now than is usual. Everybody's going through tough times some of the time, right? But right now, I think a lot of people are
Yes.
going through really tough times. And I'm so grateful that we're able to publish this book now in the midst of this, because when you're going through difficult times, you need sources of inspiration. And that's what this book is. It is filled with stories that are inspiring, that are uplifting, that can make you feel like, oh God, I'm not alone in what I'm going through. And also that can give you practical advice. What are the things that you can do that can help you to move through the challenges that you're facing right now and be able to come out the other end. And I think it's incredibly valuable right now for people all over the world. And that's the other thing I love about this book, Vivian. As you know, the authors who've contributed
Mm.
to this book come from countries all over the world, from Norway, from Denmark, from the US, from Argentina, from Germany, from Japan, from China, from Taiwan, from Thailand, and the common theme that we see is it doesn't matter what culture you grew up in, what language you speak, you you still are a human being. And human beings go through times which are difficult, times which are challenging. And I think one of the great, wonderful things about this book is that because these authors come from so many different cultures, so many different backgrounds, then you'll see the readers will see that the solutions that they find may be somewhat different. That they're varied and rich as a result. And I am quite certain that anyone reading this book will find some steps, some things that they go, oh, this will work for me. This will help me.
Yes, I really remember this. We were in Koh Samui in Thailand doing this mastermind with Janet and Chris, and we really all bonded over. We were kind of almost a little bit surprised that our stories were so alike in the way we felt about it, and maybe the how we got out of it was different, but we're all the same. So
Yeah. We're
doesn't matter where we're
human,
from.
beings are human beings no matter where we live on this planet. You know.
Are human beings. Are human beings.
Human beings are human beings no matter where we live on this planet. You know. Human beings are human beings no matter where we live on this planet. You know. The book is for people who need inspiration, number one. People who may be feeling a little down, feeling like things are not going exactly the way that they would hope to, they would hope them to. People who also need and want some practical strategies for what to do when things are tough, when things are difficult. Uh,
Yeah,
the
and those
subtitle
times
of
will
the
always
books,
come.
they will always come, and I think particularly right now. I mean, when we talk to our friends, when we talk to people, and when you read the news, I mean, suicides are up. The use of antidepressants is up. There are a lot of indications that people in our society are suffering right now, and
Yes.
so I think this book can provide an antidote for many readers, many people who are ready to live a different kind of life, who are want to be able to make it through those challenges. And as I said, Vivian, when things are difficult, we all need sources of inspiration. We need things that will give
Yeah.
us hope, that will allow us to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And when you read stories of people who've been through stuff that is as tough or sometimes tougher than what you're going through, then you begin to think, well, if they made it through, maybe I can make it through too. And that's one of the things I hope that this book will do, is give hope to people who may be feeling rather hopeless right now.
Yeah, and also I'm thinking, when I met all these people in Thailand from around the world, these are very accomplished people that are doing great things, and then you get to see kind of under the surface what's been going on and all the struggles that they have gone through. That inspired me a lot when I got to know, oh, you have experienced this kind of situation, you have experienced this kind of situation, and that's very inspiring to see that everyone has another layer in a way.
Yeah. Can I speak to that? Because I think it's really fascinating. One of our authors, Rusakan Gangate, is one of the top celebrities in Thailand. She's an acting coach and has become very famous because the movies that she's worked with actors on have been massively successful in Thailand. And she's a talk show host. She's a judge on some of the quiz shows that they have there. Uh, she did a Facebook live her first Facebook live broadcast had 1 million viewers. I mean, she's very accomplished. And it's interesting because Noor talks about the fact that even though she had had all this success, she found herself in a marriage where her husband grabbed her and was choking her to death, and caused her to go, "Whoa, what am I doing with my life?" So even when you're successful, it doesn't mean that everything is going the way you want it to. Julia Kane, I don't know if you remember Julia, Vivian, but
Yes, of
Julia,
course. Mhm.
when we met her, had just retired as a very successful senior executive at a major U.S. corporation. She had had a very successful career, but in the book she tells about being a heroin addict when she was a teenager, and being stuck in a marriage that she felt like she was locked into and couldn't get out of. And and when she was a teenager, going in and out of prison and all these things. And who
Yeah,
would guess? I mean, this
I know.
woman is incredibly successful.
Mm.
She has accomplished amazing things, and yet what she came out of was really horrendous. Another one of our authors from Japan, Nico Takahashi. I mean, Nico was physically and sexually abused when she was a child. She found herself going into the sex industry, and trying to find fulfillment and something in some sense of self-worth, within the sex industry. And then she came out of it and has recreated her life. She went through, it's so interesting because Nico's story in particular is fascinating, I think. Well, all of the stories are fascinating, to be honest with you. But I remember Nico's story because she really had felt like she had gotten um, she had had a really difficult childhood, extremely difficult, and her mother abandoned her with her, and she had to stay with her father, who was abusing her and molesting her, and she didn't know what to do, and she would cry herself to sleep at night, and all of these things, and then later in life, she thought, well, if I just make money, if I just make money, then I can be happy. And so she went out in whatever way she could and found and made money. And then after leaving the sex industry, she went on to create a successful business, but she was still massively unhappy. And she took course after course after course after course. She went on retreats. She did all sorts of things to try and come out of it. And she had just about given up until finally someone had recommended that she learned from Janet Bray Attwood, my ex-wife and the co-author of this book with us, and to learn about the Passion Test. And so Nico took the Passion Test. She said, "I'll take this one last course, and if it doesn't work," Nico tried to kill herself 4 times, and she said, if this course doesn't work, then I'm going to find some way to end it all. And so she took the Passion Test course, and for the first time in her life, she started to feel inspired. She started to feel direction. She started to feel like her life was meaningful and purposeful, that maybe, and this is one of the things Janet told her, that the things she had gone through, the struggles that she had faced, the difficulties that she'd had to overcome, that those were there so that she could help others who were in similar situations. And so now Nico continues to own a successful business, but she spends at least half of her time coaching young women who are in the depths of depression, who have been abandoned, or who are working in the sex industry, and helping them to see a new way of living and a new way of coming out of it. And her life feels meaningful and purposeful. And she wrote me a note, Vivian, just the other day. She said, "My lifelong dream has been to have to be published in English in
Yeah.
America,
Oh,
and today and with this book, my dream is coming true." So
yeah. Oh, that's
I mean, it's
fantastic.
just
Really
amazing,
important
the
work.
stories,
Yeah.
you know.